So today I'm going to be talking about ways that you can be able to trick your brain, and specifically when it comes to accepting change. And this change has to do with moving into a new place. Maybe you're in the stage in life right now whereby you're maybe going to college in a different place. You may be moving for a job opportunity, or you may have just gotten married or for a relationship and you're planning on moving, or you recently moved and you're learning how to adjust, how to navigate living in a new place. So I'm going to give you two tricks, two ways that you can be able to adjust to this new place that you're in, or that you're going to be moving to. And here's a disclaimer. If you are in a space whereby you're feeling unsafe and it's detrimental also, or detrimental to your mental health, please do not take this advice. Do what's best for you. Do not put yourself in danger in any harm's way whatsoever. So this is not relevant to being in an unsafe space or a space that really is not great for your mental health. Now, back to what I was talking about. So if you are looking at moving, or you recently moved, and you're trying to figure out how to move to a new place or anything like that, trying to encourage yourself and prepare for it, I'm going to give you two different ways. But first, let me just share who I am. So my name is Ruby. And as a young girl, I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I lived in Guinea and Nigeria for a few years because Sierra Leone had a civil war, and then I moved back to Sierra Leone when the civil war ended, and I lived there for a couple years, and then I moved to the United States. And living in the United States, I've lived in several different states because my family was there, and also for school, and I've had to relocate a lot for work because I'm a mining engineer by education, and with mining, there are very limited places you can live in. So I've lived in different places. I've lived in Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina, and then my most recent jobs have led me to living in the West Coast of the United States. So I've had a lot of experience with having to navigate living in different places, leaving friends and family, and being in a space whereby it was just me, not having any family around whatsoever, and having to navigate that. So the first step in being able to trick your mind into your brain into living in somewhere different and accepting that change is to set a goal for yourself. So for instance, the current place where I am right now, I moved here for my job opportunity, but there was a certain time where I was having a really hard time living here. But what I did was I set a goal for myself to continue living here until that goal was achieved. And at the time, what my goal is to work very hard, stay in my mining job that I was in, make lots of money so that I can be able to pay off my student loan debt. And then when I'm done paying that, I can be able to move to wherever I wanted to be at the time. And of course, at the time, I was a single woman. Now I'm married and I have an 8-month-old son. And so, of course, I would have made different choices if that was the case I was in. But at the time, that was my goal, is to work so I can pay off my student loan debt and leave. And when you have a goal like that, that kind of keeps you grounded in where you are. So you just kind of focus on the present and you're like, I will deal with this later. Another goal that you could set for yourself, if maybe you're a single woman or a single person or something like that, is maybe saying, learn how to live by yourself. You may have lived with roommates for years, or may have lived with family, and you don't know how to live by yourself at all. So that would be a great way to learn how to do that. For me, I had lived with family, of course, until I went to college, but in college I had roommates. And so having to live by myself was another growing experience for me as well, learning how to pay bills on time, learning how to take care of a home, just basic necessities. Those are things that I learned to do. And also it helped me being comfortable with living in places whereby people may not look like me. With mining is predominantly white male industry. And so I've had to live in places whereby a lot of people did not look like me at all based on gender and race. And so it helps me challenge myself as well to grow, being in certain spaces that maybe I may be uncomfortable in, but also it's an opportunity for others to learn about who I am and where I come from. It's also teaching experience as well. And so that's another goal that I think is being met by the different places I lived in. And then second, I would say, is to get involved in community. And so that'd be the second way that you can trick yourself. So what does that look like? Well, one, make friends. Get to know people in the local area. That'll keep you grounded. I remember in the beginning, whenever I moved to somewhere new, in the beginning, I'll travel a lot to home to see family. But then after learning where I am and making new friends, it became easier, and I traveled less and less to see family members. Not that I don't love them or care for them, but I had friendships and bonds that I had where I was, and I made wherever I was as home in the moment, and being present where I am. Another thing is to just find your favorite spots. Create favorite spots for yourself. Learn something new. Living in a mountainous place, a high desert whereby there's a lot of snow, I've learned how to ski, and that's not something that I used to know back in the day, but I've learned to do that because I'm learning to be present where I am. So learn how to ski, get involved, maybe do some volunteer opportunities. If you have certain skills, that's something that you can teach. I'm a belly dancer, so I've taught people how to do belly dancing. That's something that might be a new experience. Learn to give back in the community you're in. Learn to take up opportunities for volunteering. Just get involved as much as possible. As a Christian, for me, one thing I learned to do, I always do whenever I move, honestly, is find a church. Being part of a local church, being in community, Bible study time, fellowship with believers is very, very important to me. And so getting involved, maybe, and also serving in church, those are things that have helped me a lot in terms of staying grounded where I am. Like I said earlier, I had the short-term plan of just, working and paying off my student loans, and then I'll be out and go somewhere else. But then, God had different plans for me, whereby, of course, I paid off my loans. However, I got to meet my husband at church, and we're married. We've been married for a couple years now. And then also we now have an 8-month-old son. And so I had to kind of trick myself into doing all these different things. Of course, I focused on the career that I moved here for, but also there were the social aspects that probably were the reasons why I needed to trick myself into being here longer. But I have grown into loving the place. I have created lots of amazing bonds and friendships, and I've, of course, grown a family. I now have a husband and a son and everything like that. And so these are two important ways that I believe that you can be able to